The Philippine politics and governance. Now this time we will be discussing about the module 4 of this subject, which is the states, nations, and globalization. After this topic, we will be able to define nation and state, differentiate state from government, differentiate nation from state, explain meaning of globalization, and identify several forms of globalization. Now, what do you mean by state? State is a political community that has sovereign jurisdiction over a clearly defined territory and exercises authority through several institutions, including the government. There are different features of a state according to Haywood 2013. First, it is sovereign. Second, its institutions are public. Next, it is an exercise of legitimation. Next, it is an instrument of domination, and it is a territorial association. The state has four elements. We have the sovereignty, government, territory, and people. Sovereignty refers to both jurisdiction, the ability of a state to exercise its authority over its territory and people, and independence, the freedom from external control. Government is considered as the machinery of the state through which the people's will is formulated and carried out. The territory includes all the land, the sea, and the airspace the state exercises jurisdiction on. And the people or population is the organization of human beings living together as a community. There are several classifications of states depending on the perspective one conforms to. Ruskin 2012 claimed that while no international tribunal classifies states based on strength, analysts provide three categories. We have the effective, the weak, and the failed. Under the effective type of state, the state controls and taxes the entire territory. Laws are most obeyed. The state provides general welfare and security, and there exists only minor corruption. Under the weak type of the state, crime has penetrated politics, government is weak in fighting lawlessness, corruption, and poverty, justice is both and elections are often rigged, and the government revenues go to private pockets. On the other hand, under the failed type of state, there is no national government exists. The state is ruled by warlords, private army, and militias. Gun is the law. Education and health standards decline. Then we have the nation. Nation is a group of people bound together by commonalities in language, history, and traditions and religion. A nation is not just cultural but could be political as well, especially when the people share a common civic consciousness. A nation can also be seen as psychological when people share loyalty or affection in the form of patriotism. The integration of the state and the nation forms the nation state. This political organization is widely recognized today. As an entity, its strength relies on the fusion of both the cultural and political aspects present in a state and in a nation, allowing for cultural cohesion and at the same time political unity. However, nation states have been met with challenges, including but not limited to the growth of ethnic politics and globalization. So, nation state is at the intersection of the cultural aspect of the nation and the political aspect of the state. The Philippines is an example of a nation state. Globalization. Globalization is considered to be the most important threat to the nation state. But what is this phenomenon? What impact does it have to people and nation states? Globalization is the process through which societies have become so intertwined or interconnected that events and decisions in one part of the world have significant effects on the lives of the people in the other part of the world. This is according to Haywood, 2013. Transformations in production of goods and the flow of financial capital can be a result of further integration of economies in the world economy. For example, changes in domestic politics and economy of the Philippines can actually be caused by events happening in different countries. To illustrate this, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN integration may have caused the developments in Philippine educational policies. Example, the implementation of the K-12 basic education program, so that the movement of students within the member of countries will be free flowing too. How and why does this happen? So there are different characteristics of globalization as a phenomenon. This is according to Haywood 2013. First, declining relevance of geographical distance. Next, lessening significance of territorial boundaries and deepening and broadening of political processes such that the local, national, and global events constantly interact. Globalization resulted in a growing interdependence among actors, activities, and processes all over the world. Several forms of globalization can be identified, of which Haywood listed three: the economic globalization, where all economies have been integrated in a global economy; then the cultural globalization, where information, commodities, and images from one part of the world make cultural differences between nations and individuals less significant; and the political globalization, where the importance of international organizations, transnational organizations, and non-governmental organizations is being recognized. In ordinary language, the terms nation, state, and government are used interchangeably. In this topic, you have seen how different these terms are from each other. The Philippines is both a state and a nation. As a state, it is composed of elements such as people, territory, government, and sovereignty. As a nation, the Philippines is comprised of individuals who share certain commonalities as to language, identity, tradition, or history, and who share a feeling of unity and belongingness with that imagined community. Globalization as a phenomenon poses threats to the existence of the Philippine nation state, or at least for those who are skeptic about it. And that's all about the state, nation, and globalization.